G'day guys, welcome back to Beers and Breakevens for round 26, brought to you by Blue Wealth Property. They've got some events coming up over the next couple of weeks, kicking off on the 30th of August, Wealth Through Property. That one's out at Sydney Olympic Park, or you can catch it via the webinar. We have also got some events over the next few weeks. 12th of September, Wealth Through Property once again on the Sunshine Coast. 13th of September, Wealth Through Property live in Brisbane. And then we've got Bathurst on the 18th of September. And I believe making a cameo appearance at a few of them is our resident star over here, Morts. Welcome back, mate.
Guru, how you going, mate?
Going well, mate. How are we travelling?
Going well. SuperCoach, no. But everything else going really good, mate. Yeah, things are good at Blue.
Where is the SuperCoach team going?
I think I'm ranked high 40,000s. I need a masterclass with you guys in the off-season. I've got no idea.
So does Tim.
So you've worked out that captaining Curtis Moran each week hasn't quite worked for you?
Mate, I thought that was a go. I like 40 points each week. It's good.
Now, mate, next week, Wealth Through Property, Sydney Olympic Park. As I said, you got all those other destinations over the next few weeks as well. So plenty of opportunities there. That one's via webinar as well, though. So you can be live at Sydney Olympic Park at 6:30 p.m. or be there on the webinar. What can they expect there, mate?
Mate, the Wealth Through Property covers the basic concepts of investing, why, I guess that the underlying theme is why most Aussies need to do something. We're not all going to be able to save our way to retirement. Some of us will be, certainly not me. So it's about making sure you're investing either in property or other wealth creation assets, and we just run through why property works.
And mate, you had the property showcase last week or the week before?
We did, last week. Last Tuesday. We had great take-up. I think we had a good 600-700 people tune into it, which was awesome. Sure. Good traction off the back of it, and I think as rates peak, which we're hopefully seeing, the property market's already taking off again. So for us, we've got a lot of people keen to invest, which is great.
It'll be a bit dangerous getting the Beers and Breakevens faithful to events like that, because once you get Tony and them going at it about SuperCoach, agreeing, disagreeing, talking about sides, the showcase can take a back seat.
Mate, that's why
Tony
can have those chats, and we'll just work in the background to get the jobs done, mate. That's
Mords, the team's been working with NRL clubs in the past, quite recently, and I think you've mentioned off air the Doggies in particular is where it all started. And what have you built off the back of that?
So mate, obviously Tony, as you know, passionate Bulldogs man, and I've been a Bulldogs man.
I thought he was an Eels fan.
I thought he was too.
Don't say that.
Doggies fan, is he?
Mate, when he's been in here, how's he handled all this yellow? And I don't know. But mate, so we sort of came up with a bit of an NRL or athlete wealth creation program, which is an adjustment of the Wealth Through Property presentations, but more tailored to, I guess, their circumstance. Ultimately, the NRL player, on average, has sort of 3 to 4 years worth of a career. Some will have a lot longer career than that, and others won't. So it's about making the most of the opportunity they have while they're earning good coin to ensure that they set themselves up for the future. So we've been in front of the Bulldogs, been in front of Manly, presented to both their squads. Good reception there, and we're talking to a few other clubs. So real passionate about that.
It is such a unique spot that some of these young guys find themselves in it. Like I hear people talk about $400,000 and $500,000 contracts, and like people talk as if they're going to be on it for eternity. It's such a short window. It is such a short window that they've just really got to take advantage of.
Imagine being 20 years old and then going, he's $500K a year, mate.
Well, and if you, with respect to anyone, any 20-year-old, there's only a real small amount that would know what to do with it.
Yep.
So for them, it's having a good team around them. We are probably one part of that. They need a really good team around them and make good decisions, because that, for the vast majority of them, and probably most people listening, is more money than they'll ever earn. In their lifetime.
So we know Kalen Ponga, Reece Walsh, big fans of Beers and Breakevens. They tune in weekly. So if they're listening, mate, all they need to do is reach out.
Hit us up.
Yeah. Please, shout out to you, KP. Welcome back for another week, brother.
Very good. Yeah, of course.
Now, mate, this weekend, bright lights, big stages. Talk to us.
Grand final day at Belmore Sports Ground. So I'm the proud coach of the under-9s, St Christopher's. We've got our grand final 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think the Bulldogs have their captain's run before it, so they're the sort of pre-show. I'm on the committee at St Christopher's. We've got another team as well playing. The under-11s are in the grand final, so I just want to give a shout out to my team, to the under-11s, and all the teams competing on grand final day. It's a great experience. Looking forward to it.
Sounds like Ivan and Nath Cleary all over again.
It is, and it's probably similar in my.
Or is it Marty Lang and Johnny Lang? What are we talking?
Mate, probably Marty Ling, Johnny Ling. Harry, my young fella, he's a tackling demon. He loves the rough stuff. So much more than I did, that's for sure.
That is great. And who are they playing this week, sorry?
We're playing the St George Dragons, and they're probably favourites. So I don't think you can run a book on under nines grand finals.
So Zach Lomax has been looking all right at right centre. Keep an eye out for him. I've still got my money on your side, St Christopher's.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get the job done. It'll be good.
Now, if you had to put the young bloke, equate him to how many SuperCoach points he reckons he would average per week, who does he remind you of? How does he play?
Look, like a hard-working back rower lock. So
Jacob Preston. She's got Jacob Preston written all over him from what I can work out.
Yeah, so he's a lot of, the base stats? He'd have a lot of base stats and defensive stats, but and then the occasional sneaky try from dummy half when we get close to the line.
Love that, mate. Being the rugby league nerd I am, there'd be nothing that would give me more joy than putting a Mortimer into my SuperCoach team.
Oh,
it would be fucking unreal.
We might have him in our sides in, 8 or 9 years' time?
Overs.
I think I had Daniel, cousin Daniel, in my first SuperCoach side about 8-9 years ago, whenever it was. He had a couple of good games there.
Yeah, if you had him in the 09 season, he would have taken off for a while there.
Yeah. Just leave the C on Hayne and have him as your VC.
And let it run. How good. Mate, thank you for joining us. Once again, best of luck this weekend for the grand final. Have they got a market on what colour the Gatorade is that you're going to wear after the game?
Yeah, look, don't know, but I know that there'll be plenty of Coca-Cola and lollies and chocolates flowing regardless of the results. So that'll be good.
Fingers crossed for a Clive Churchill coming the young bloke's way too. Love that. Mate, thanks for joining us once again. Webinar next week, 30th of August. Then we've got all those events, which me and Timmy will remind you of over the next few weeks. You're heading up to Queensland for one or a few of them?
Yeah, in about 3 weeks' time. We've got a couple back-to-back, as you mentioned earlier, up there. So I'll be there. Tony will be there. And coming into spring, good time to be up in the Sunshine State, that's for sure.
Yeah, you might even line that up with a Brisbane Broncos home final. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yes, correct.
Thank me later too. Just sorted out your plans. How good. All right, mate. Thank you for joining us. Thanks for coming in once again. And mate, we look forward to everything to come.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, Morts has hit the frog and toad. Now let's get into our SuperCoach scores from the weekend. I scored 1,428. I'm finished with a rank of 3,900. How are you, buddy?
Not bad, Roo. Not bad from you at all. 1,308 for the Cooma Stallions. We dropped slightly into 5,100 overall. Interesting. So there's 1,200 spots between us, but about 115 points. There you go, 115 points. So, mate, yeah, it was a good week. And considering as well that you sat Tedesco, that's a massive score.
No, I played Tedesco. Ended up playing him.
Oh, that's right, because you were going to sit him and then I told you to play him over Campbell Gray. Yeah, that's right.
Get him on the back foot. Put him in a corner, guys. Gets rattled very easily. What about DWZ? I thought you were ready to murder his family last week, and then Friday afternoon you trade him in. That's one of the great backflips of all time. You look like Ches, you play like Ches, you do it all.
What's this about? You were the one potting Dallin. I
thought you weren't trading him in.
No, I said I was desperate to trade him in, but I was worried about trades for the last few rounds. And then I looked ahead to this week, and I was like, I had 5 bunnies. I need to trade one anyway. Half an hour before kickoff, I just got the itchiest feet. I had a great feeling that Dallin was going big. So I pulled the trigger, and I was like, please go well. And he had 2 tries in 15 minutes. I went, thank Christ.
I'll tell you a funny story. I was at the pub. So last week in my draft comp, 2 weeks ago, I got smashed, right? The guy I was playing scored like 1,000 points. He was having an all-time week. So I was sitting there having a little, fucking temper tantrum to myself. And I messaged our mate Steve, and he's like, yeah, my game's fucked as well, blah, blah, blah. He carried on. And I didn't even look at his matchup, right? I just thought, he must be in some curry as well. Got to the end of the weekend, I looked at Steve's game. His opposition scored 600 points. So it was nothing, right?
Yeah.
I texted him, I go, you fucking for real? I got 1,000 dropped on my head. You on 600 and you carried on a treat. He won by about 200. I was going, are you fucking for real? He's like, yeah, it was a bit of an overreaction. So anyway, I gave him shit about it all week, right? Then we're sitting at the pub on Friday night. You trade in DWZ. When he scores his 3rd try, I'm walking, I'm kicking shit. I'm having the biggest fucking tantrum ever going, fuck, season's over. Fuck. Next game, I play Teddy, I VC him, and I'm back in it, and Steve's just sitting there going, oh, my season's over. And I was like, God damn it, I had the hand. Fuck. Lost it.
I love SuperCoach for that reason. There's just the emotional roller coaster it takes you on, and it is incredible how well you can be going all the way through until the end of the Saturday night games, or how poorly, and how just 2 games on Sunday can change your entire week.
Yeah.
And like you blowing up 2 games into the round, and then you end up beating me by 100 points. It's great. We had on Play Potty last night, Brett Patworth, who's a former Wallaby, former Rooster, 20 years on Talking Sport, absolute legend. I really, really enjoyed having him on. And I mentioned last night a narrative, I suppose, that I preach all the time is when people whinge and say they're too far behind, they're focusing on head-to-head and how quickly you can make moves in this game. He went 13,000 overall to 600th in the space of 4 weeks.
Wow.
2 weeks later, he was in 30th. So 13K to 30th in 6 weeks.
Wow.
And that to me is just like, guys, you're never dead and buried in this game.
Yeah, and I mean, mate, like, obviously, I still had a good weekend, don't get me wrong, but, geez, I'll tell you what, my 14.28, I had the VC on Teddy. The 2 plays before he got knocked out, he dropped the ball with an open try line.
Yes.
And then he had a pass to Suoli that he just threw into the crowd for no apparent fucking reason. Like, even take me, for example, had a very good week, but with Teddy as my VC and not many people having him and no other captains really going huge, that 125 from Teddy could have been 160 all of a sudden. Instead, he's knocked out and missing this week. So, God, it turns quickly.
It turns so fast. It's just so I ended up captaining Kalen Pong on Sunday afternoon. Is it just me, or were you watching that going that he's going 150 plus? And I kept checking the out, waiting for his score to go up. I'm like, you're going to add his tries? And then the other option was Latrell Mitchell, who did nothing. It's like he was going up at the same rate. I'm like, can you sort yourselves out?
Well, that was me in my draft game on the weekend. I had KP, my opposition had Latrell. So I was watching them like a hawk. And just every time Latrell got the ball, he'd make 8 metres, but he'd break 6 tackles. Just, and then he'd throw a fucking offload that they'd get tackled directly there every time. It was so frustrating to watch. Very frustrating. But KP's a bit like that. He looks like he's doing a million. And I was having a look at his scores the other day. I think in the last 10 weeks, he's gone under 70 once, which is a pretty damn good knock, but he does have to do a lot to score. He also missed half his goal kicks, didn't he?
The goal kicking did not help. No, that was very frustrating.
I was in such a delicate spot on Sunday afternoon, needing KP to do enough for me to win my draft game, but needing KP to miss enough goals so that you didn't catch me. Yeah. I was an emotional wreck on Sunday afternoon. So 115 points.
Yeah. So just quickly on the trail, he downdated to 57 because before that he was like early 70s at the end of the game, and you're on how? And you're right, he had 10 tackle busts.
Yeah, but he was 70, but then he got the sim bin, so then he went down to like 50 odd, I think, didn't he?
Maybe. I'm
pretty sure he did, yeah. Because I actually thought he'd go back up to 65 or 70. Yeah, he didn't go back up as much as I thought. Went down with the sim bin, and obviously missed the last few minutes there. And I guess, mate, we'll touch on it very quickly, Latrell Mitchell. For people that have got trades like us, as much as we've both got Latrell, gold. Absolute gold.
SuperCoach is so funny. You watch one of your players be ruled out for the rest of the regular season, the SuperCoach season, and I'm just like, oh, this is music to my ears. Like, trades in hand, a bit of depth there. Mate, let it rain. I mean, ideally be a player that I don't own, but
yeah,
it's so happy about it. So,
but on that point, take me, for example, I woke up on Monday morning, updates were done. I looked at my team. I've got Latrell and Teddy. I've got no fullback. And I went, yes. How good is this? Yeah. Thank God, because I got trades.
And that's it. And we've sort of been, fingers crossed, hoping for carnage late in the season. We've got a fair bit of it this week. That there's going to be a lot. I know a lot of good super coaches out there playing without 17. Yep. You add in any other damage that comes late in the week, could be lower and lower. Just a few more to drop certain teams like 15 and 14 players. Let it happen.
I spoke to a guy yesterday who's ranked about 500th, and he was relying on Corey Horsburgh to play to have 14. So there'll be a lot of people, and he has no trades left. So
big movement.
There's going to be a lot of movement the next 2 weeks. I would argue the next 2 weeks could be the biggest movements of all. Yeah, if you've played it well.
They normally are. Like I said, last season it didn't eventuate that way, but this year, it's looking that way. So if Harry Grant wanted to take a little sit this week, I wouldn't hate it.
Oh, how good. So leading our groups, we've still got James, the raging pole. He's in 3rd overall, still well and truly in the hunt. Here come the Bears. Glenn in 4th overall, 2nd in our group. Dummy and Run, 5th overall. That's Aiden, and 3rd in our group. So of the top 5, we've got 3 of them at the moment, Timmy.
That's mad.
That is very, very good. We're
the
very
top
happy
longer.
with that. And then, a lot of the guys that are in that top 25 or so have been there for quite some time. So unreal to see. Of the top 100, Timmy, we have got 33 of them. I actually thought we'd have a few more than that. It's interesting how this has fluctuated throughout the year.
Yeah.
Exciting for us, though. Just shows how many more people there are out there.
Love it.
Yeah, it's unreal. I wonder how many of you 34 have got 3 teams in there. But anyway, shout out to James, still leading. Now, our top scorer for this week was Ethan. He coaches the Gun Drags. He scored, good God. Not only did he top score it, he top scored it by 60 points, 1,641. What a nudge.
That's a massive score this week, wasn't it?
Now, Ethan, I want you to be honest with us and raise out. If you captain Jordan Rapana, well done to you, but I don't want to give you a hat or a football if that is the case.
Got his team.
No one's ever deserved
Wait, no,
something
I
but
don't.
deserved it less.
What did he score?
1,641.
Okay.
Have you got his team there?
No. I've got the bloke who won it this week was 1,660, so he's just short of the top prize for the week.
Oh, now I'm just having a look through Ethan's team this week. He captained Nathan Cleary, CTWs, Marsu, DWZ, Garrick. He had Teddy at fullback. Jeez, he also had Reece Walsh in his team. So
Did he have Rapana?
no, he didn't have Rapana.
The bloke who won it had he had
course he
Rapper. Yeah.
Mate, there was a bloke that messaged me the other day who was in a SuperCoach prelim final on the weekend. He was up by 150 points with one player to come for the opposition, Jordan Rapana, and got beat and knocked out. I honestly could not think of anything worse of all people.
That's devastating.
Jordan Rapana. Good God, that hurts. So, Ethan, reach out to beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. Hats and footballs still coming over the next few weeks. We promise you they are coming. I've spoken to most of the winners over the last few days anyway. We're just waiting to get those hats embroidered, ready to go. They're going to be black hats for the back end, so even more special. And if you've got one of the blues, you've got one of the rare 20-odd. And if you're one of the drunk bastards that got them off us on the country tour, well done to you. Your team's probably ranked 30,000s by the look of all of yous and the way you were talking SuperCoach to us, so well done.
They'll be worth $500,000 in 5 years' time.
And the rest, I'll be flying. All right, let's get stuck into Team List Tuesday. We got Battle of the West, Penrith v the Eels, Thursday, 7:50. The Penrith Panthers, Brian Toto named. He is back. Peach named at centre. Jeez, I hope some of you took our tip to have a look at Peach last week because he's going to play all 3 games now, I reckon.
Looks it.
Going to be a great little get. Cogger at 9, Hosking on the edge. No Scotty Sorensen, no Isaac Tungo, no Mitch Kenny. It looks to me like the Panthers are probably going to have a bit of a rotation thing with their restings. I would say that if they win this game, they've got the home game next week. They've got a home final locked up against the Cowboys. I do think we need to prepare for some restings. I would say for you, the one bright side is that I can't see them resting Brian Toto 2 times in 3 weeks.
It was funny. I was devastated for him to be rested for the Titans matchup last week, but I was also there going, I'm going to need him more the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So low-key, pretty happy about that, all things considered. But I think you're right. We're seeing Ivan stagger these restings, and there's a bunch of blokes there who haven't been given a rest yet. A few semi-relevant supercoaches, nothing too much. Dylan Edwards is probably the biggest name supercoach there. Maybe Stephen Crichton, who haven't had their rests, who could be getting a spell at some point, but you do see them coming. The big one is whether or not they rest Nathan Cleary, isn't it?
That's the big one, yeah. And obviously, Nath, he has had a few weeks off this year already, so maybe they push through, but you harp on about it all the time. Don't know if it's a risk worth taking. I do think there are other guys in that squad that do need a rest, probably more. I would say Dylan Edwards, as you said, he's definitely one of them. I think it's worth noting Luke Garner's been named on the bench this week, so just keep an eye on that situation. I wouldn't be surprised if they're up in this game if Dylan Edwards come off. Critter goes to fullback and they just play Garner in the centres. So maybe that could be his little spell. You've got guys like Mosley Otter. You've got guys like Fisher Harris who have played a lot of footy this year. Liam Martin hasn't got a spell yet either. So,
They're coming. Well, and sorry. The other thing the last few weeks, they've named full strength, rested them late in the week.
Yeah.
So don't be deceived.
Yeah, don't be deceived. The beauty of it is, though, that it is the first game. So we will have a very good idea what is going on there. For the Eels, Ryan Madison named on the edge, Hopgood at 13. Anyone shocked by this one?
Seriously.
Yeah.
It infuriates me talking about what they did last week. Not only from a Supercoach standpoint, but just footy in general. Come on, BA. Be better.
Jeez, Hopgood scored well. Credit to him. Fuck, he scored well.
You sound surprised, man.
I didn't think he'd score that well on the edge. I really didn't. He it was almost like he was better on the edge scoring-wise. It was pretty freaking impressive.
Definitely opened up attack for him.
Yeah. Even just offload, just going up against halfbacks, he was just able to pop and, all right, the Wars v the Dragons, Friday, 6 p.m. coming here from Auckland. For the Warriors, Jackson Ford named on the best. Josh Curran starts. Mate, an interesting one to keep note of. Tamari Martin named on the extended bench. He's playing New South Wales Cup this week. Interesting to see if he comes back into this side or not. I reckon he's a chance.
I honestly don't know. I want to say no, because of how good the Warriors have been, on a massive win streak. Just defensively, maybe they look to shore up the edge.
That's why I think he potentially comes back in. So see how he goes in New South Wales Cup this week. I'm pretty sure he won't play first grade this week. I'm pretty sure he will come back via Cup. We'll see how it goes. Jackson Ford also named on the bench, mate, which we don't have forward, but I think there would be people out there that would still have him. I think, from what I've heard, it sounds like the Warriors won't be resting guys as in not playing them, but I think there could be limited minutes over the next few weeks. And I've started with Jackson Ford. Mate, surely if they win this week, AFB, Tohu, some of these guys, I think have got to play limited minutes next week. SJ potentially.
Mate, I think they have to. Again, take any Supercoach bias out of this one. Sean Johnson, thankfully he's kept it together this year and he stayed on the field, and it's led to hopefully what could be a Dalian medal winning year, but he's so pivotal and so important to this team. If he goes down injured next week, I know I throw out a lot of ifs and buts and what ifs, but I think you have to be cautious of this. They'll have locked in a top 4 spot. They're not dropping out of the 3 or the 4 spot. If they win this week and that's all locked in, they lose him, it just could terrorise their finals campaign. I'd just be sit him, mate, have the week off. He literally didn't goal kick last week and the week before because of a tight groin or whatever it was. So, but even if they play SJ, you mentioned, but AFB and Tohu Harris, huge chances at early showers. Even if it is a tighter game, I think lesser minutes. The beauty of it is with what do you got, 17 on deck this week? You don't have a sit v start with Tohu decision.
Yes, yeah, I have to play Tohu, I think. So that's one less headache. But I just think, mate, with that Warriors side as well, if they're thinking long term, which they would be, they're going to fly to Brisbane. They're going to play all their players against the Dolphins, whilst probably the Penrith Panthers rest everyone to be fresh to play them next week at Penrith. Fuck.
I'd be SJ, stay home, spend the week with your family, mate. See you week.
Rest up, rehab, everything you possibly can, and get ready for war next week. Because they're going to have to do something incredibly special for the Warriors to go to Penrith and beat Penrith week 1. With Penrith, essentially now, once they get Isaac Tungo back, that's their team. Yeah. They are fully fit, ready to go. So
how was, speaking of your rage quit when Dallin scored his tries and your draft was in all sorts, Tohu Harris scoring the first try.
Unbelievable. You wouldn't believe it. I was actually late to the pub for that first game, and I was at home and I was getting ready, and I thought, will I go at half time? What will I do? Tohu Harris scored, and I went, fuck it, I'm going now. I need a beer. Fuck this. So I get in the car. I walked downstairs, and I got in the car, and I got a phone call, so I took that for 5 minutes to turn the radio on, and the commentator goes, Dallin! And I'm going, oh my fucking God, what is happening? I turned my KO on my phone, and that try he scored, it was like Gene Miles taking him on. And then he just left Ruben Garrick for dead. I was just going, this is an awful night. This is not good. And I had about 18 people message me on Friday afternoon and go, Tim traded in Dallin. I fucking know Tim traded in Dallin, you prick. Shut up. Doing my head in. Nightmare of an afternoon. Let's center ourselves. Bring ourselves back.
Where were we?
Yeah. I was about to get through some childhood trauma then. Dragons. Lomax in the centres again. Bud Sullivan on the extended. Jacob Little starts. The young fellas on the bench. God knows what's going to happen there. It doesn't impact anyone else in this universe except me and my draft team, so I won't carry on there. Finns v Cowboys, Friday, 8 p.m. Dolphins getting a lot of people back here. Hamiso, obviously Lemuelu comes back in. Kenny Bromwich comes back in. Aiken on the bench. Tessie New moves to the centres. Nicarima at 5'8". I sort of was looking at this game last week going, Dolphins are still going to be without anyone and the Cowboys could put on a big score, which they still could, but the Dolphins team definitely looks better this week, doesn't it? Friday, 8 p.m, Suncorp. I feel like they're going to show up there.
It does. It's a bit of an awkward one, and we'll get to captaincies in a bit more depth later on, but when you're looking at Scott Drinkwater, even as a trade-in, and looks a good matchup, but you'd be all in on them if they were playing last week's Dolphins, wouldn't you? It's a very different lineup, so I'm a little bit the same.
Yeah. We'll talk about trades and everything soon. Cowboys, Nanai out, Valame out, Lukey on the edge, Laybutt comes into the centres. Anything else to touch on in that game?
Just the commiserations to the handful of Valamai owners who had another great matchup this week and a knee injury. I didn't see that one on the weekend or where it came out of, but it's a blow for them, for anyone who took the gamble, because he'd been ticking along quite nicely.
Very nicely.
This was a nice game for him.
Yep, for sure. Let's move to Super Saturday. We've got the Storm and the Titans, 3 p.m. from Amy Park. For the Storm, King out, Nass into 13. For the Titans, Sammy and Campbell are out. Jojo comes back in, and so does Foz. Anything to touch on in that one? Obviously for Fafita, great to have Foz back, I guess, for a tough matchup.
I think Foz back is instrumental to them. That's both defensively, even for Fafita. Fafita went well last week against Penrith, scored that awesome set play try, which owners would just like, thank God. But for Foz for Fafita and that whole defensive edge, big.
Yeah. It was low-key one of the saddest moments of my weekend last weekend when I realised that Jaden Campbell wouldn't be marking Eli Katoa this week. That hurt me more than I'm willing to admit.
Thank God.
The last dagger I probably didn't need.
So Foran will be on Ellie, won't he?
Yeah.
Thank God. Ellie's the other that I tinkered with last week. I was like, it's not worth it when I had a full strength side last week, and I still want him, but I'm like, I don't want to burn my final trade on him. So if he was on Jaden, I nearly would have just pulled the trigger this week.
Yeah.
He could have gone 150.
Yeah, for sure. Now, speaking of Eli Katoa, did he get given a try assist on the weekend for a good tackle?
I believe so.
Fuck yes. Heaps into that.
I didn't realise until yesterday either. Someone had it out there on Twitter. I was like, oh, for God.
I saw the points go up and I thought, surely not. Then I watched it back and I'm like, I get it.
It happens.
It opens up a real can of worms.
It does.
But
It happens occasionally. I just think it's a try contribution. Just make a try contribution, 4 points. 12 points is a lot for that. If they were going to do it every time, but it's just such a grey area. We know supercoaches hate those grey, subjective sort of things. It's just give it a try contribution.
Like if you did a charge down, someone else picked it up and scored, do you get a try assist for that? I reckon it actually plays a bigger role, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's a real can of worms that we probably didn't need to open. And
stoked for you and Ellie, mate.
Yeah, it's good. We'll take it. Roosters, Tigers, Saturday 5:30 coming to you from Allianz. James Tedesco out. Let's not talk about it. Manu at fullback, Corey Allen in the centres, Sammy Walker returns. Hutcho, who's been in awful form, dropped, got exactly what he deserved, right, Timmy?
I'm gutted.
Poor bastard. Fuck.
Like, what more can a man do?
Exactly right.
Turns around like this powerhouse club who have a terrible season. They go to Drew Hutchinson, who's probably on freaking minimum wage for them. Turns their season around, gets me with a sniff in the finals, and bring the bloke back who's been injured for 3 months. Who wasn't that great before it. I love Sammy Walker, but
I had a bloke who messaged me yesterday and said, geez, Hutcho being out hurts my side. And I was like, oh, is that your draft side? And he's like, no, my classic. I was like, why don't you have a better 5'8" than Hutcho? And he goes, no, I don't have him at 5'8". I got him in my back row. I was like, oh my God, please stop. This gets worse and worse. What he's doing. Wonderful. Poor bastard. Egan Butcher on the extended bench as well. You would have to think that if he is fit, he would come into this side. For the Tigers, Simpkin, he's out. Appy moves back to 9, and Will Smith jumps in to jersey 7. I thought it was interesting when we had Jamie Soward on here a few weeks ago. He played a bit of footy with Will Smith at the Penrith Panthers, and he reckons he's one of the more untapped talents.
Really?
He reckons that after Brooks, he would have been his immediate choice at halfback straight away. So it's taken them a long time to get to Will Smith. But
I've never minded Will Smith at all.
I don't mind him either.
Playing spent a lot of his career as a bench, just come on as a utility. But Yeah, big raps from Sowie.
Yeah, and Will Smith, Dane Laurie in the halves this week. I think that'll worry the Roosters. If for nothing else, you just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, hard to plan.
Hard to prep for sure. Raiders v Broncos, Saturday, 7:35. Grand final preview. Tim's got written here. Raiders, Corey Horsburgh has been named. You believe he will play?
Yeah, mate. He passed his HIR on the weekend, so he went off with about 8 or 9 minutes to go, 10 minutes to go on the weekend. So there's a bit of uncertainty there, but he passed it, so he should be good to go.
Yeah, I really hope. My fear is that the Broncos could put on a big score here, and Hawes and Tapane could get rested later. I just hope the Raiders hold with them. I really do.
And maybe not so much coming off the bye, but look, I would still assume the same for Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan if there is a scoreline. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully the Raiders are up 40-0 and they get an early shower for that reason, but history would suggest probably not.
Yeah. Jack and Seb Chris on the extended. I saw some images of Seb Chris training last week. Looks to be moving pretty freely. I wouldn't be shocked if he comes in. Got anything on Jackie Boy Whiten?
I do not.
You just got a blood trading dog written here.
No, he's backflipping, staying with the Raiders. Haven't you seen the news?
Please.
We love Jack again.
Please. For the Broncos, no Adam Reynolds. Jock Madden in at the 7, which obviously there's two options goal kicking-wise. Reece Walsh, Katoni Staggs. We probably think it's going to be Staggs.
I think so. Apologies to Playbook listeners if you haven't listened to that potty yet this week. We had a chat and we were sort of under the assumption it would be Reece Walsh, but Staggs did kick a few weeks back when Reynolds was out, so it's probably going, based on that, Katoni Staggs. I mean, it could be Walsh, but you'd think probably Staggs.
Yeah, geez, he becomes interesting, doesn't he?
Who?
Staggs.
Don't.
If they were to put a big score on you this weekend and he was to be goal kicking, I don't have the balls to. I've got him in draft, so I'm going to happily sit there and watch that. But interesting.
Hey, the Raiders are coming off our biggest win all season against the Bulldogs. We're in a mood. 12-point win.
Let's leave that where it is. Bulldogs v Manly, Sunday, 2 p.m. from out there at Homebush. No real changes for the Doggies, nothing of note for Manly. Schuster's been dropped. Kohler goes to fullback, who I think is very interesting at fullback there with a good matchups in the next 2 weeks. Garrick, obviously, mate, named on the extended bench. Surely not.
I am under the impression that he will not be playing this week and he's in extreme doubt for next week.
Yeah.
And
you're out of contention.
You're out of contention. The dude's got a broken back. Even if you can't do more damage to it, just give the man a rest.
Yeah, it's just, not worth it. Parker at centre. He returns this week. Brad Arthur. Young Arthur at 6. Burbo on the edge. What about the debut of Chan Kum Tong? Shout out to Ella. She's over there sunning it up on the beaches of Europe. She was celebrating last night. She spoke to Gordon himself when he got named. Yeah, she sent me the screenshot. She's very excited with herself. Gordon Chan Kum Tong. One to watch there, and one that, Timmy, I think will be one we'll be talking about next year. Even if he plays 2 games this year, it'll still be he'll be pretty bottom dollar, won't he?
Bargain price.
So
people think you like Jaman Hopgood. Ella with Gordon, I've never seen anything like it.
I think Gordon replies to her messages just to keep himself safe, just so she doesn't come after him. So, so shout out to Ella. She might be booking a flight back this week
to
watch the debut of Gordy.
Yeah, that's exciting.
She's been flying back every weekend to watch the Blacktown Workers team, which Gordon plays for. So, unreal stuff. That is the Manly game. Kohler. I think he's very interesting. I'm playing him in draft this week, and it scares the living shit out of me. He's got very good base. He's just the fastest guy on the field. He's going to be on the inside of everything. He's his gamble, no doubt about it whatsoever. But, geez, Manly's run home. We'll talk about it soon with a couple of other guys. We mentioned Jason Saab briefly last week. We didn't have the balls to do it, but Jesus, if you did, he killed it last week and could be on another tear.
It was pretty close to it. Kohler played fullback, round 24 last year against the Raiders, 54 points, but 34 in base, which is very good. Interesting one. Like, you can't imagine you'd do it, but particularly if he does play there this week and kills it, next week becomes very interesting. Who have they got? The Dragons or someone?
I think they've got the Doggies this week into the Tigers, mate. So
Tigers at Manly.
Mate, if it was any other combo, you probably don't do it, but I think it's worth considering.
Maybe.
A huge pod play, massive pod play. Yeah, very interesting there. Knights v Sharkies, game of the week for me for Newcastle. Hastings has been named for Newcastle. I question if he will play this week. We'll see what happens, but I question if he will actually play, which, mate, I was having a look the other day. Without Hastings on the weekend, KP, he had 38 receipts of the ball. From the 10 games he's played fullback, he's had less than, I think it was 35 in 6 of those 10 games. So hopefully we are seeing more touches of the footy for KP. To be fair, when Jacko has been on the field, there has been games where KP has had 39, 40, 41 touches of the football. But I did feel like KP definitely took more control in that game the other day.
Yeah, he did. And shout out to Adam Clune. Came in, did a great job.
Good player, Adam Clune.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Good player. Shouldn't be going to England.
Yeah.
A lot of teams could do much worse than Adam Clune.
Lockie Miller's going as well. That's so disappointing.
You know who Lockie Miller would fit in really well with?
Raiders?
Yeah.
I know. And I think I saw
Lockie Clune's like he had a baby, I think, 10 weeks ago or something. Like I don't understand how there's not an NRL club that isn't going, we'll have a punt on you.
And I saw credit to the Knights if this is the go. I saw a quote that because he's signed for 3 years or something, that they could hold on to him, but he signed as a fullback and we know what's happened there. They've sort of said, we don't want to stop him getting his way and stop him from progressing and playing more NRL or like Super League top level. So, seriously though, has there not a club put their hand up for him?
I'm also very surprised Newcastle, like I know they're in the market for other guys, but geez, wouldn't he be a decent replacement on that right wing?
Yeah.
Like he's hard to tackle. There is no doubting that whatsoever. I think when you have him at fullback and in the middle of the field, he can screw up what you're doing because he's so unorthodox and rogue, but put him on the wing and just when you get the ball, just run hard.
Yeah.
Ricky
Stewart, reach out.
Interesting one. For the Sharkies, mate, 1-17. Nothing to really touch on with that Sharky side?
No.
All good? All right, mate. I guess one of the most important things this weekend will be captaincy choices. This week, like the week, I think 2 weeks ago, a lot of options. It is real open slather sort of stuff. I genuinely think you could look at 10 teams this week and see 8 different captains.
Yeah.
Run us through the options.
So, as we did a fortnight ago, like the big talking point this week, as you mentioned, Guru, is captains. And let's spend time on what people want to hear about. I try quite hard to not double up too much between the two potties, but captains is the big one. So, like 2 weeks ago, what I've done is I've just taken a deeper dive statistically into the major options to differentiate it. So we'll start with Nathan Cleary coming up against the Eels. Parramatta concede the 7th most points, SuperCoach points in the competition to halves. Parramatta concede 38% of their tries on the left and 37 on the right. Obviously, Cleary will be going at the left. So, no, that's about middling for everything there. What's your take on Nathan Cleary as a skipper?
So interesting, isn't he? Like over the last 5 or 6 weeks,
hasn't quite been there, has he?
He hasn't, but he's still finished.
Standards.
Like a 5-game average of 85 is still very good.
Yeah.
A 5-game average of 88, still very good. He just hasn't had those huge scores there. I'm hesitant simply because I know that Parramatta always get up for this game.
Yeah.
Outside of grand finals, they always get up for this game against Penrith.
Every single year, in recent years, we've said they always get up for this game. But they'll still probably get pumped this time. We're wrong every time.
Yeah.
Last game of the season for them.
Yeah, and look, they're not playing for anything. I think Penrith are playing for a week off next week, essentially. Mate, you have a look at the betting market. Parramatta's at $7.
Jeez. With nothing to lose.
It's a grand final replay. With nothing to lose. It's wild. Mitch Moses out, which I think obviously the kicking game is going to be so important. But I thought Dill Brown, despite a loss, I thought he was really good last week. But I think I will be VCing Cleary. I also think it's a huge advantage, as I learnt last week with Teddy, because I had the VC early in the week, getting to see updates.
Yeah, it does help.
It's so important. It is so important.
Especially in a week like this where I think the majority of Supercoaches will have a pretty free crack at the VC loophole.
Yeah.
I absolutely do not knock anyone doing it, but I do not love it for that reason. I just think the Eels, maybe they get up for it. Maybe they've checked out for the season. Look, I don't know, but they love getting up for this clash. As I said, their season's done. They're like, Brad Arthur going, boys, you've had a disappointing season. We're against our rivals who are probably going to go on and win a comp. one big week. Give us something. And also, captaining people on Thursday night, it's just shit. It never seems to work out.
In saying that, mate, I'm like, I reckon Brad Arthur would have said last week, hey, we're playing for our season.
Yeah.
Can we get out of first gear?
I know.
Roosters going like a busted arsehole. But I agree with you, mate. I think Battle of the West, I think they will always be up for this game. So I probably will do it. But I'm not super confident on it.
I think I'll avoid Nathan Cleary's last 3 scores against the Eels. 77 this year, 4 points, round 20 last year.
Oh, that night.
And 40 points last year.
Yeah. Now,
you can obviously put a line through the 4 points, but even in that game, I think it was about 15, 20 minutes into the game when he got sent off and hadn't done a thing, obviously. Parramatta, I believe, also beat them last year when he scored 40 points. But, yeah, it's concerning.
It is. Yeah, it is concerning. But I just think that Parramatta side is different to what they were, and I've got no idea. I just think Cleary, mate, he is a proven champion in SuperCoach. Yeah. I think that when these moments come, he will deliver for us.
Yeah. I like others. Number 2 on the list, Sean Johnson against the Dragons, who concede the 5th most points to halves. Most importantly, though, the left edge that Sean Johnson will be going at concede 55% of their tries compared to 26% on the right edge for the Dragons. I think this is a wonderful matchup for Sean Johnson. A big factor in the captaincy will be goal kicking. We don't know if he is or isn't kicking again. But I prefer Sean Johnson to Nathan Cleary as a captaincy option this week. What's your take?
No, I still prefer Cleary, and maybe I'm biased because I don't have SJ and whatnot. I also think, mate, the Dragons have looked pretty good. They're conceding points, I get it. But I think they've looked all right the last few weeks. I just think, mate, fucking SJ just has to do so much to score well. You have a look at the last 2 weeks, for example, against the Tigers. He had 50 points in creative. He scored 73. The week after that, he had 44 in creative. He scored 60. It's a lot to score. It is a lot to score points. That's why I haven't had SJ all year, and there has been certain weeks where it's hurt me. No doubt about that.
Nico bounced back last week.
Nico bounced back last week, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, of course it's Nico. Yeah. He played well. He scored 108. SJ played really well, scored 60.
Yeah, 60. Drew back 48 points in that battle. So we'll add up in 2 weeks' time in that 5-week phase when everyone had that big decision. Cleary, Hines, SJ who won. His last...
And mate, if you give him back the goal kicking in those last 2 weeks, okay, all of a sudden you're talking about 90-point games. Doesn't have it at the moment.
Yeah, he scored 149 against the Titans and 135 against the Sharks in the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And have a look at those games, the amount of, like, the one against the Titans, what was that? He had...
Scored a double.
Scored 2 tries in that. That was against 12 players, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He just doesn't scare me all that much, mate. Even have a look at the Sharkies game. He scored 135 points in that game, which is fantastic. He had 104 in creative stats. Like, has to do so much to score so well, and he has been doing a lot this year, 100%. But as we said off the top of the show, I also think there's a serious chance that at some point, with 10, 20, 30 minutes to go, if they're home, they go, okay, SJ,
Could get a shower.
Yeah.
Could get a shower. If they do, he's probably racked up a lot. Last 3 games against the Dragons, 112. 112 this year, 96 last year, 66 last year. So good numbers. I love him as a VC. I don't own him. Next person on the list, Scott Drinkwater up against the Dolphins, who concede the most SuperCoach points in the competition to fullbacks. Scotty D.
I am leaning towards trading him in this week at the moment. I am probably less confident now than I was at the end of last week about trading him in. But he is very, very appealing to me. But he has a similar sort of problem to that of Sean Johnson, where he has to do a lot to score. Unlike Sean Johnson, he has gained the goal kicking in the last 2 weeks.
That's the big factor, isn't it?
That's a big plus. And I thought, as I said before, Suncorp Stadium versus the Dolphins, who are missing all these guys, love that. They've since gained a lot of these guys back. I am leaning towards trading Drinkwater in, but I am a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards trading him in as well. I love him as a VC just because the Cowboys are really questionable, the Dolphins, so you can just see them getting up for it. I think he's a great VC. He scored 70 against the Dolphins. That was back in round 6. That was his first game in a month, coming off suspension when the Cowboys were terrible. 70 and 80 minutes.
And the Dolphins were flying too.
The Dolphins were flying, so it's a very different setup to there. So yeah, I don't mind Scotty Drinkwater. Cameron Munster against the Titans. The Titans concede the 8th most points to halves. Their left edge concedes 35% of their tries, right edge 39%. I would imagine if you added in all the games that Foz played and measured that up, that it'd be substantially, the right edge will be a lot, the left edge will be a lot better defensively. So Munster does get the far weaker edge of the Titans, with Tommy Weaver also coming in on that edge. So Munster, we saw the stats during the week. He heavily, over the last 5 years, he averages more against top 8 sides than bottom 8. We spoke about it, and the numbers added up. What's your take there?
Without being boring, mate, I'm the same I've been for the last 8 weeks. Yeah. It doesn't concern me. I'm happy to leave it. Mate, if Munster comes out this weekend and absolutely gives it to the Titans and scores 120, I'm looking at it and going, well, he scored 28 last week. That means he scored 75 points. Average over the last 2 weeks. So I'm not going to run with him. I also think the really interesting thing, and I was looking at it last night more so for draft purposes, just trying to work out, I assume Pappy's going to be on the bench here. How do you reckon they get him into the game? Like, if they're up, is this maybe an opportunity to give Munster a spell?
There's a million different ways, mate. I don't know. Meany could go to centre. He could go to the wing. He could go to the bench. Munster could go off. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's part of the risk I'm not.
I don't have a freaking clue.
No idea. Yeah. It's part of the risk as well. I think that, and like as you said, mate, and it's no shock, but as the numbers indicate, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest if he scores 60 more points against the Broncos than he does against the Titans.
I think he's a good trade in, but make it what you will. His last 3 scores against the Titans, 147 last year, 111 in 2021, 91 back in 2020. So good scoring against them. I like it, but just...
He only played the Titans 3 times.
3 times in 3 years,
You know, on the weekend when KP played South Sydney, it was only the 3rd time he has ever played South Sydney.
Really?
I was looking at the stats. Wow. He's only played him 3 times. It's the first time in 3 years he's played South Sydney.
There you go.
Yeah.
Munster, potential VC option. I definitely wouldn't straight captain, but yeah. Next on the list, Joey Manu up against the Tigers, who concede the 6th most points to fullbacks. Joey Manu at fullback, one of the great sights in SuperCoach. Thoughts?
Delicious. I wasn't here on Monday. What's your view on the Roosters? Are they back? I don't know who or what the fuck they
were
are.
With Drew Hutchinson in the halves.
Yeah, I don't understand why I make the change. I mean, the thing is with Manu that whenever they get any good ball whatsoever, you know he's going to run, you know he's going to take on the line. You know that the Tigers, those outside backs, there's missed tackles galore there. I think he will pick them apart. He's just... Manu is just the most perfect. He'll make or break your season if you captain him. Like, he could cost you 1,000 spots.
He could get 40.
Yeah.
He could get 440.
Yeah. And I mean, like, the reality is, mate, like, as we've seen over the last few weeks, like, even the top picks, not many of them are going for 130, 140 at the moment.
It's been a crazy 6 weeks for captains. Like, hard to nail.
Yeah, and that's why, mate, like when I was sitting there with the James Tedesco the other day, I put it out to people, do I take Teddy's VC or go Cleary? I think it was like 70% said take Cleary, and I just sat there and went, 120 points is gold. You can't find that anywhere at the moment.
Yeah. I prefer Joey Manu. Look, he'll still should score really well. I prefer Drew Hutchinson at half than Sam Walker for him, just because Hutch will be going, I've got this superstar outside me who's about to break them open, just getting good ball.
Yeah.
Whereas Sammy Walker or Gene can jump and dive and throw lofted harbour bridges and all sorts of things.
He's got someone to prove at the moment too, Walker, which worries me.
He'll take the line on. So, yeah. But all in all, I think he's a great option. Agreed?
Yeah, I think he is. I don't think it'll be one that I take, but I don't think he's a bad option at all.
Reece Walsh against the Raiders, who can see the 8th most to fullbacks.
As I said, he was probably one of the guys I was looking at to bring in this week. I know that you were reasonably keen on him. Well, when I spoke to you about needing a new fullback,
when I had in my head that it was goal kicking because
yeah.
Adam Reynolds is likely out next week as well. Walter said so. Without the goal kicking, the Raiders, who we know they can get up for games, I'm leaning more towards Drinky.
Yeah. I just think with the Raiders as well, like, as much as it has been an absolute shit fight and they're all over the place, as you said, we know that Ricky Stewart can get something out of these guys when they need to. And this is the sort of game without Adam Reynolds where they won't have that kicking game to be able to really guide them out of a dogfight. This one could be a little bit closer than what we're anticipating. If it was in Brisbane, I'm not even having the conversation, to be honest with you. But down there in Canberra, completely different conversation, I think.
Barring a finals game, probably Jared Croker, maybe Jared Croker's final home game as well. They're putting a big day on for him.
I was there for the last big day they put on. They didn't get off the fucking bus, so shout out to Canberra.
So, but yeah,
you did more work at that pub after the game than they did.
There's absolutely no reason why the Raiders shouldn't be up for it.
Yeah.
They're also not locked into the top 8. This is a big game.
Yeah, this is must win. They can't,
Yeah.
and they're not. Yeah, especially with that for and against, they are far from locked into that top 8. And I think realistically, as much as it's near impossible to win from the bottom 4, if you guys are going to give it a shake, you need to be playing in Canberra.
Yeah, every bloody oath we do. 2 weeks. So I was thinking of the impact of no Adam Reynolds to Reece Walsh, which I don't like for Reece Walsh because, again, just positions he gets put in by Adam Reynolds. 2 weeks ago, Reynolds sat out against the Cowboys. Walsh scored 58. Adam Reynolds, you missed any others this year? Penrith in round 12. Well, this would be good. Walsh got 42, but I won't hold that against him.
Yeah. I could be wrong as well, but from memory, when Jock Madden came in the other day, like, Brisbane were okay. But they were fine without him. But as you said, Reece Walsh, he doesn't get put in those same spots, which worries me even more for Reece Walsh. And the goal kicking is huge, as you said.
Yeah. So, captaincy-wise, not for me.
Yeah, not for me, and I won't be trading him in. He's scary to come up against, there's no doubt about that. But he is similar to these other guys. He's not in... He has to do so much. He's not in this Hines and Cleary class where he does... Mate, you know who else is in that class? Dill Brown. Like, you get to the 60th minute, he's done nothing. You check his score and he's on 72, and you just go, what the fuck? Did I fall asleep for this game? What has happened?
Yeah.
Whereas Reece Walsh, if he's done nothing at the 60th minute, you can turn it on, he can be on 18, which can really hurt you.
Yeah. If we get word he's goal kicking, that'll change things. But, yeah. Kalen Ponga against the Sharks, who concede the 12th most to fullbacks. Ponga, dominant left edge. I don't have the exact left-right numbers in front of me, but he's going up against the far better defensive edge of the Sharks. Their right edge, their left edge is their weaker one. It's been much improved the last month. That being said, it's like he's a fullback. It's not like Kalen Ponga can't play down the right side. He's just better on the left. What do you, KP, captain?
I don't hate the choice. I don't know. Like, you look over the last few weeks and he's done incredibly well. Scores of 137, 96, 122, 121, 77, 91.
Jeez.
In that time, he's played the Tigers, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Bulldogs, South Sydney, who all aren't going that well. Had the game against the Melbourne Storm, to be fair, scored 96. That was at McDonald Jones Stadium. And I think that's another factor we need to consider here. If it was at Shark Park, I'm probably not even looking at him.
Definitely not.
But they are a different animal.
Afternoon at Newey.
Yeah. You're asking for it. Geez, I tell you what, Christ, I wish the bloke was a right foot goal kicker. The amount of tries he sets up in that left corner and then he has to hit him across the face. If he was a right foot goal kicker, it changes everything.
Yeah.
I don't hate it. I just, similar to the Roosters, I feel the same way about the Sharks. Are they back? Are they the real proper deal?
That's the factor.
Yeah.
Like a month ago, you go against the Sharkies, absolutely lock and load. But now all of a sudden, Sharkies are good again.
Yeah. And they're two teams that I think they've put such a big emphasis, especially in the last month, on their defense that, I don't know. I have got a gut feel that KP is going to do well.
Yeah.
So if I'm not going Cleary, he probably is the one I'm slightly leaning towards.
If you told me anyone on this list that you're going with, I said, well, just there's people that would say, I prefer this person or this person, but I couldn't push back hard on anyone.
I think with me as well, I'm probably a little bit biased to KP because my team, I've got Marcio as well. So I'm like, I need KP to in order for Marcy to do well, I need KP to do well. So I'm sort of happy to lump all my stuff in.
That was a bittersweet watch on the weekend, having him as captain and seeing him setting up Marcy for them. So do we know? So he had that 8 tackle set or 7 tackle set, whatever the hell it was, for the Marju try.
It was for the Saifidi try. They just used a picture of Marcy scoring. It was for the Dan Saifidi try, the one that Phoenix kicked through.
Outrageous.
Yeah, stupid, so stupid.
It does make me feel better though.
Yeah.
Lucky last, Nicho Hines, same game against the Knights, who conceded the 12th most points to halves. 33% of their tries down their left edge, 40% down the right edge. Nicho going at the stronger defensive side, but also opportunities there. Nicho, he just gets it done game after game, mate. He'll be a pod captain. He
will be a pod captain, yeah. And you're right, he does. I mean, you look over the last few weeks, 86, 22, 155, 108. Mate, I feel like outside of Penrith and Brisbane, these two teams have probably been the most consistent over the last 4 weeks. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
But I still just feel like I can't rely on either of them. I feel like both of them, the wheels could fall off at any given moment.
Brisbane and Penrith are the only two teams that I'm confident will do well each week. Every other time, anything could happen here.
Yeah, and even Brisbane and Penrith are also the only teams that, even if they lose, I know they're going to lose by 4 to 8.
Yeah.
Someone's going to have to play bloody well or do what Manly did the other night and play completely rogue football to get them. So, yeah, Hines, well, mate, that's going to be my game this weekend. Me and Steve in a prelim final and draft. I've got Hines. Fucking hell. I've got Ponga. He's got Hines.
Awesome.
Sunday afternoon, so it's going to decide our.
If one team pumps the other.
And he's got Marcia.
If one team pumps the other, one of them, the one of them's going big.
I'm really hoping for classic draft, everything that Nath Cleary just puts on a masterclass against Parramatta.
So, verdict. I want your verdict, and I think we can do it on the assumption that people have a relatively free crack at the vice captaincy loophole.
Yes.
So your VC is going to be pretty good. In my instance, I have 17 players going into this week, and Brendan P. Kura is one of them, which is a bit of a dagger for my loop.
Yep.
A trade that I'm intending on making will give me 17 guns plus P. Kura, so I've got an okay crack at it, but I need P. Kura to do something. Give us who do you like?
I will be VCing Nath Cleary. I will be taking him on Thursday night. I'm just going to back in a proven champion there to get it done. And if he goes, mate, honestly, with the way that it's all going, even if he goes 100 plus, I will seriously consider taking that because it's a free loot for me. So for me, the normal rules of 120, 130, they sort of go out the window for me. And also I'm in a spot where realistically, I'm trying to do as well as I can in the rankings, but I'm trying to beat you. And I've got 115 start, and I'm more than happy to admit that. This bad boy is what I want. So that's probably where I'm sitting, going to VC Nath. If that all goes to shit, I'll probably go KP.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
This is great because I'm thinking vice captain. If Scotty Drinkwater comes in, I'm thinking VC Scotty and C Joey Manu.
Yeah, the Joey Manu one is very appealing. I've actually got a feeling about the Tigers this week. I don't think they'll win, but I think they'll get a little bit closer than what people are expecting.
I mean, I got no faith in the Roosters, but I do have faith in Joey Manu having 46 runs.
Yeah.
And busting 40 tackles.
Yeah, could be the first half for the bastard.
Yeah.
Geez, I'll tell you what, if that is the play for you this week, every time the Roosters play the ball from 30 metres from the line, I'll just be sitting there going, not him.
When Joey goes to dummy half, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Mate, when Joey goes to dummy half, the goal kicker goes, bring the tee out. I'm here. I'm ready. Let's do the thing. I think I'm going to go Cleary VC into KP C at the moment, but I am more than happy to admit that this week, as I said, I'm playing to beat you. That's all that really matters to me. There is a chance, 8. If winning is lame, I'm lame every day of the week, mate. Bragging rights.
So weak. Let's get to trades because your trade's also weak as piss as well.
Yeah.
What do you got? Who are you thinking about bringing in? Is it someone that you potted last week and said you're not keen on?
I am thinking this week. So I've obviously got Teddy, who got knocked out as he was about to score his 180th point last week, but that's fine. I got Teddy got knocked out, and I've got Latrell Mitchell. on top of that, I've got Ruben Garrick. So I'm sort of banking on Ruben Garrick not playing again this year, which could be costly if he plays next week, but I just don't think he will. What are you sitting on? Are you going to trade Garrick or?
I will trade Latrell Mitchell as my only trade this week, hold Garrick, and probably just flip Garrick next week if he doesn't play.
Next week. Yeah, okay.
How many numbers do you have this week pre-trades?
I think pre-trade, I think I will have 16. With 2 trades, I will have...
A quality 16?
Yeah, quality 16. Yeah, there's no one I'm... probably Bateman's maybe my worst one.
That's fine, yeah.
Campbell Graham, my biggest dud. He's not playing this week, thankfully. So as it stands right now, I will have Grant at hooker, Tino, Tapane, Horsburgh. I'll play all 3 of those. I will have Fafita, Nikora, Eli Katoa, Tohu Harris, Johnny Bateman. Shout out Tohu Harris, going to score his 4th try this week. And then I will have Cleary and Hines. So they're my 4 reserves. And then the rest of my team will be KP at 5'8". Centers will be Manu, Gagai, Marsu. And then a guy I'm going to trade in, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then I'll have Drinkwater. Yeah, so I need to make 2 trades to have a full 17 this week.
2 to get to 17.
2 trades to get to 17, which will leave me with 1 trade. Unless, of course, Samuel Fainu gets a start. I noticed he was on the extended bench for Manly. But I probably
Wouldn't
can't
hate that. I've still got Fainu as well.
Yeah. How many players you got this week? Do you need him?
No. I've got 17 pre-trades, but my 17th is Piakura, who, speaking of if you wanted to jag a late start, wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
17 pre-trades.
Is he named on the bench this week?
Yeah. 16 guns plus Piakura. So 1 trade will get me to 17 guns.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and that'll leave you with 1 trade next week.
Yeah.
So we'll both be in the same boat next week. Yeah. All right, so sorry, where I was with my trades, I think I'm going to bring in Scott Drinkwater, and then I think it's time for me. I've got the little lead on you. You're down on trades. This is the advantage I've built myself, and you can call it weak, you can call it whatever you want, Timmy. I'm more than happy to hear your cheap
Week's what
insults.
I'm going with.
That's fine.
Week's fine.
That's completely fine. I'd do the same thing if I was losing for the 2nd year in a row. I'm going to bring in DWZ into the CTWs. Just play safety there. Less advantage you can have over the top of me. So
You're so weak.
Hey. I mean, you traded out Teddy last week. I bring him in. I vice captain him. There's no talk about that. I don't know. It just feels like you're in a corner, you know? You're playing off the back foot, I think.
I told you to play.
And you know punts are off the back foot either. You're struggling.
Oh. Hey, you haven't seen me play cricket. Back foot's my specialty.
Blues.
Best hook shot on the Monero. Yeah, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed, Guru.
Yeah, no, and I get that. And I am an open book here. I am playing to beat you, which I always have been.
I might just trade Dallin out.
I back it.
Just to be a dick.
I also I was looking at other options. We'll talk about Suoliti soon. He was one I seriously looked at, but there's a few factors why I'm moving away from him. We've got a question on him soon, though. Other options I was looking at, just because I've got Gagai, Dom Young I potentially had a look at as a bit of a pod play, but I'm just like, fuck, am I going to run out with Gagai, Marsu, and Dom Young this weekend? Don't know if I can do that. There's just no other CTWs that are really jumping out at me.
Yeah.
I'm also a little bit excited for next week, Roosters v South Sydney. I was having a look at some numbers. Jeez, Campbell Graham went to shit once Latrell came back.
Interesting, because early in the season, I haven't looked at it, but...
He was killing it.
With Latrell, though.
Was Latrell playing that entire time?
He started the season and then had the hammy tweak, didn't he?
Yeah, when was the hammy tweak for Latrell? Because I haven't done the numbers myself, and hopefully someone out there can... Geez, the amount of times I searched for Latrell's name.
Latrell played the first 12 rounds and Campbell Graham started on a tear.
Okay, so it was with him, okay.
Yeah. But even recently, you're right. Like, I feel the Bunnies have really gone back to favouring their left edge the last month or so. So maybe...
I just feel like when they go to the right now, it's just like they used to go to the right to score tries. Now it's like they're going to the right so they can set up for Latrell to be standing on the other tram line to get ball there. It's not...
So
I'm not in a position to not play Campbell Graham in round 27
Latrell
anyway.
played the first 12 rounds and Campbell Graham had 14 tries.
Okay, so yeah, that's
but
probably out
since
the window.
Latrell has been back, what's he played? 4 games, 1 try.
1 try.
So make of that what you will.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Latrell Mitchell to Scott Drinkwater as my trade this week. I really don't like Drinky's matchup next week with Penrith, but I'm hoping Penrith rest a few key players. Cowboys likely playing for a top 8 spot. Which was anyone but Penrith, but yeah, I do think the matchup with the Dolphins is really good this week. Even if the Dolphins do get up for the fight and make a game of it, I still think Scotty can score well. So I'm eyeing Latrell to Scotty Drinkwater.
I'm feeling a Thursday or Friday afternoon late change for you.
Who too?
I don't know, but I don't reckon it'll be Drinky. I reckon, you're
We'll
trying
see.
to bluff us.
We'll see.
Especially if I'm going Drinky. I reckon
There's
you'll
no
definitely
bluff
go
here, mate.
someone
I'm
else.
full transparency.
Mate, the other one that I think is obviously there's a few guys at fullback that are worth looking at. I sort of spoke about it on my podcast the other day. Obviously, Gutho's got the bye next week, so I wouldn't be going anywhere near Clint Gutherson. I think Dylan Edwards is due he's due for a rest soon, I think, at some point. The other one that I think I would consider is maybe AJ Brimson as the little pod play to finish.
Brimo.
I know he's one
Against
that...
Melbourne. In Melbourne.
Yeah, but mate, he just pops up fucking everywhere, and I just even the way that he played Penrith last week, what did he score, like 60 or 70? I've got a feeling about Brimo for the back end.
Doggies at Seabus on the Goldie round 27.
There's a very, very good chance I trade him in it for round 27.
Why don't you show some ticker for once in your life and do it this week?
I'm playing from in front. Instead of showing your ticker, I'll show you a trophy again, mate.
Please.
Playing from in front can do whatever the hell I like. But AJ Brimson, he is one that I will consider. Mate, is there any other sort of pot options there that you think maybe people are sleeping on, or maybe...
At fullback?
Yeah, at fullback. We've sort of spoken about Reece Walsh. You've obviously got Dallin and what's his face that are dual position. What about Hamiso coming back into this side, or you still just don't think the Dolphins find much?
I just think you look at Scott Drinkwater, Reece Walsh, these are the lead options. You throw Dallin in there, who's obviously got the dual CT dub fullback. I think they're the pick of the bunch for me.
Yeah. All right, should we dive into some questions then?
Yeah.
Okay. Our first question comes from C. Tang, which is sort of one for you, Timmy. You can talk more on this than what I can. Is it viable to play head-to-head and overall without focusing on just one?
Definitely, yeah. It's not easy, but the reality is that if you're going well overall, you're also winning your head-to-head matchups. You're also probably well entrenched in the top 4 or at least top 8 of your head-to-head leagues. Where it becomes a little bit trickier is you've probably expended more trades throughout the bye period.
Yeah.
So I would say probably that probably the month leading in, you finish your origin period, you get your team back to where you want it to be, fix up any holes post-bye period. There's probably that month where, because you've spent so many, you've got to be a bit more conservative to save a few trades for finals, and that's where the balance comes in. Realistically, you're probably going to get into head finals with a few less trades than your opposition, but there's also no reason why your team can't be well set up as well. So you can do both, and on the flip side, if you do take the dual approach, if you're going poorly overall, your head-to-head's probably an all sort, because then you get to the finals period, and even if you scrape into the 8, you've probably got bugger all trades left. So, look, it's difficult, but yeah, it can definitely be done. I think at the end of the day, if you play overall and your team's going good, you're looking all right head-to-head finals.
I do find it amazing how many messages I get from people who are in the top 1 and 2,000 who their head-to-heads are completely fucked, though.
Yeah.
Like, they're completely out of head-to-head already, and they're in the top 1,000, 2,000. It is wild how it all sort of plays out sometimes.
Yeah, there's so much luck in your head-to-heads, whether you're overall focused or head-to-head focused. You hear stories all the time, like I think it's your draft this season where you can have the most points in the league, but you might be coming 10th. You have the least points in the league and you could be in the top 4. There's luck involved.
Yeah, a lot that goes into it. This one from Smashy87 says, is DCE a good option? Mate, I think DCE is a cracking option with 2 weeks to go. He plays the Bulldogs into the Tigers. We already spoke about some Manly players that are interesting, Kohler, Saab, these sort of guys. Ola Kawatu is another one that people could consider. But, mate, I reckon DCE is a cracking option. Bulldogs, Tigers, look at the last 2 weeks. He's gone 96-71. That's without scoring a try in either of those 2 games. He's another one that depending on how it all plays out next week, like if Nathan Cleary was to get rested, I would seriously consider going Nathan Cleary straight to DCE next week.
And goal kicking.
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah.
If halfback wasn't like, if you didn't have to trade out one of SJ, Cleary or Nico, great trade in now that he's kicking with those matchups. But you'd be a bold super coach to trade one of those three, probably with your last trade of the season, to DCE. But you're right, next week, if Cleary gets rested, SJ gets rested, who knows what will happen. Nico goes down injured, he'll all of a sudden be very popular. It'd be a fun watch in round 27.
I reckon there is a very good chance he outscores SJ in the next 2 weeks. Yeah. If you were to give me a 20-point start on DCE, I'd take it over the next 2 weeks. SJ, surely he's going to get rested at some point and get limited minutes to some extent. If he's not goal kicking and DCE is, and he gets Manly into the Tigers over there at Four Pines Park. First time I've never called it Brookvale. I like DCE the next 2 weeks. I can't I can't do it because I've got the two guns there, but
great games.
Big play. From Tate Johnson, nothing to lose. Thoughts on moving Garrick, Teddy and or Trell to Enough and Pappy? Look, I think you'd be crazy to bring in Pappy this week, but I think Tate brings up an interesting talking point. Just Ryan Pappenhausen, named on the extended bench. I think it's safe to assume that he will play this weekend and come off the bench. What are you expecting? If that game goes to plan, no injuries, no HIAs, 20, 30?
I don't know, because it might have been you and I having this conversation, but I think it was earlier in the year, definitely like 30 off the bench, easing back in. But if I'm Melbourne, he's played 200 minutes back in Queensland Cup for the Falcons. I want him getting those combinations going in. I want to start him and play him 80.
I don't reckon they'll start him, but I think you bring a valid point. I reckon there's a good chance he could play
40
60,
50.
Yeah. I don't reckon they'll put him out there first of all.
Maybe 60 minutes.
Yeah. But if he plays 80 next week, depending on how this competition plays out, if Brisbane give it to you guys next week and if Brisbane rest guys next week, potentially, but I probably don't think they will off the bye. Geez, he's the pot of pods, Pappy.
Let's work on the assumption that he comes into the starting team this week and you can afford him.
You got to consider it. You got to consider it.
Yeah.
The problem's going to be that who have you, like, what's Pappy at? He's at like 900 and something, isn't he? So, like, in order to do it, I assume you're going to be trading one of Teddy or Latrell, who are at, the 700.
950 years, Pappy.
So in order to do it, you're either going to have two trades and enough someone, or you're going to have to have 200K sitting on your bench, which, to be fair, at the moment I do. I would never even consider it. But I guess people could potentially do it. Geez, 950 is a lot of biggie.
I don't like it. It's a great matchup this week with the Titans where he could go ham, but even then I'm looking at Brisbane at Suncorp next week. Yeah, they're coming off the bye, so they probably don't rest anyone. There are so many good options. I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think the other factor as well that you need to consider is that, like, if you wait, like, you're not going to know if he's starting until Saturday, 2 p.m.
Yeah.
By that point,
we don't know if he
Drinky's passed. Yeah, I don't know. If you got the balls to do it and it pays off for you, full credit to you. It won't be for us, though. Yeah. Jaden Rafter, biggest priority to bring in. So we've got 4 players here, Timmy. We've got Fafita, To'o, Walsh, DWZ. What's your gut vibe here? If you had to pick one of those, do you think is going to be the most important guy to have? Who'd you go for?
I'm leaning between Walsh and Dallin.
Oh.
Yeah. Probably... Wow. I'd probably go...
Fafita with Foz, not...
well, they're playing Melbourne down there. If Melbourne get a lead, does Fafita get an early shower?
It's a tough question, isn't it?
Tough question. Oh, mate, you can make an easy case for all of them. I just think the form Walsh is in, coming off a bye, heading into finals. I think Walsh is a great play, and Dallin's just got 2 great matchups. So I'd lean towards them too, and I'd probably be going with Reece Walsh.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess it makes complete sense to trade in DWZ if he's ranked so highly, according to you.
You're going to follow whatever I say anyway, so no need to get tricky.
All right, JPEG1. Really interesting question here. He's got no Payne Haas. He's got no Adam Fanua Blake. Do you bring in one of them or stack the CTW/fullback I think that both of these front row forwards are primed to have a little spell at some point over the next 2 weeks. What are your thoughts?
I agree. And if he has neither of them at this point, I assume he's running 2 front row forward guns. So I'll be looking to stack CT double fullback, chase that ceiling. These two, both from dual rest, but like Hash had the bye, so maybe him of the two. Fanua Blake, he's dual rest.
He's got to have a break soon. Yeah. Yeah, and especially, like, I imagine your other front row forwards must be Tohu, Tapane, Horsburgh, probably 2 of those 3.
Yeah.
Maybe a Tino, I guess. Right. Like, especially if you've got Tohu, I would not be bringing in AFB at this point because they're 2 guys that I think are due for spells. And
look, if you could afford him, he'd probably would have been involved in the question. But Tino's $785K. He's dropped to a bit more affordable price now. If you can get Tino, I'd do that. I like that. No, yeah, I'd still take the high ceiling C double fullback.
Yeah, so would I. Jackson Coles. Oh, here's our random questions. All right, this one from Jackson Coles. Chicken or beef burgers? I think I'm going to cop a bit of scrutiny here, but I've always been a chicken guy. And it's scrutiny that I'm happy to wear too, because I always feel like I should get the beef, but I know I just always fall to the chicken.
I think chicken to me has always been a lunch meal. If I'm having a roast, I'm like, I do not want a chicken roast for dinner. I want lamb or pork or something mad like
chicken
that.
roasts are the most overrated things of all time.
Absolutely they are.
I think, a really unpopular opinion, but I think especially when you get to Christmas time and everyone gathers around a chicken roast.
Who's getting the chicken?
Yeah, I think it's wild.
If we're talking a roast chicken that you get from Woolies and you pull it apart for lunch and whack it on some rolls, oh my God.
Different story.
But chicken to me is a lunch meal, red meat for dinner. I'm going beef for dinner, I'm going a chicken burger for lunch. What do you reckon?
As I said, I actually completely agree with you. Yeah. I always feel like I should be getting the beef burger, but I always get sucked into a chicken burger. I tell you what, you come at me with a Southern fried. Thanks for coming. The show's over. Shut up shop.
You also get your sauce on the side of the burger and dip it?
Yes. All right, now here's my favourite random question of the week. Favourite go-to sports movie of all time? And the question said, why is it Remember the Titans? Now, I think it's fair to say Remember the Titans is top dog. If it's not in your top dog, it might be a serial killer, but it's also got to be in your top 3. So I'm going to take out Remember the Titans. What movies come to mind for you?
It's hard because there are so many good, like, comedy ones, like Dodgeball, Blades of Glory. What's the Adam Sandler one in the Prison Yard? Longest Yard.
Longest Yard, yeah.
But then you get into the more nitty gritty, serious sporting movies.
Yeah.
Coach Carter, Remember the Titans, as you said, ones like these. So it depends which avenue you're going down. Like, if we're going all time, I'm probably just going like Happy Gilmore because it's incredible. But if we're going down the more serious mould, I'm not sure. Like, what have you got? I know you're
I've got one that's an all-time favourite of mine, but I think that the Rocky series would be right up there for me. Criminally underrated Rocky 5 when he takes on Tommy Gunn, not spoken about enough.
We're assuming footy legends in a league at home, Thando.
Sando, how good. But mate, my all-time favourite, and I really hope you've seen this one, and if not, and if you haven't watched it at home, I'd highly advise you go watch it. Former Ohio State left-handed quarterback, Shane Footsteps Falco, well known for blowing the 1996 Sugar Bowl. He's then out of the game. There's a strike in the NFL, and the Sentinels, I think they're called, they call upon the replacements. And Footsteps Falco comes out of retirement, steps in, and does an unbelievable job. The replacements. Keanu Reeves, one of his absolute best ones ever. I would highly advise, if you haven't watched it, go and watch The Replacements. It's an absolute cracker. Some unreal lines in that one.
I don't think I have. I will watch it tonight.
You will love it.
Yeah.
It is an absolute cracker.
I'll throw one more in there. Bra Boys, the Kobe Atherton story.
Yeah, interesting. Didn't see it coming, but...
I'm kidding. Actually, I did love it, but...
It's actually a good flick. Yeah.
It's a great flick. I
Yeah.
think Johnny Sutton gets a start too.
Yeah, Johnny Sutton's in there. Rennie Matua's in there. Yeah. Obviously, a few of the boys that have gone big in the surfing world as well. A couple of local South Sydney boys. But yeah, I think the replacement's right up there for me. The Rocky series, Happy Gilmore, obviously. Yeah. Right up there. Dodgeball is underrated.
Dodgeball, I reckon of all Vince Vaughn, Ben Stiller's, I think that's my favourite. Far out, it's a good movie.
I'll tell you another movie that I think is so underrated, and a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. I don't give a flying fuck because I think it's one of the greats. Semi-Pro.
Yeah, great film.
Is an absolute cracker. The Flint, Michigan Mega Ball. Oh, so many good lines in that one. It is unbelievable. Great question there, unreal. Let us know in the comments your favourite sporting movies. Get a bit weird with us. I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of Karate Kid. Some other ones there. Yeah. Crackers there. What was the other rugby league one? Was it called The Last Winter that Matty Johns was in?
Matty Johns and Matt Nable.
Yeah, Matty Nable. Yeah, that was another good one too. Would you chuck the Superman movies in there when Ian Roberts was the security guard? Does that count?
Absolutely,
Play
that
on.
counts.
I'll allow it. That's good. Okay, let's move to our last few Supercoach questions. This one comes from Rip Gilligan. We sort of spoke about it earlier. Saab, the ultimate CTW pod, dogs into Tigers. He killed it last week. I think he is the ultimate CTW pod. I think you would either have to have rocks in your head or testicles that wouldn't fit on this table to bring in Jason Saab. I spoke about it last week, but I'll give you the hot tip. Not fitting on this table. Cannot do it. What do you reckon?
Not for me. As I said, if you want to go for it, there's upside there. Not that Ruben Garrick is a renowned ball-playing fullback, but Kohler at fullback I don't love for him. I just want to question his service. He's on DCE's edge, so he'll still get some good ball. I'll just go through his lowest scores this year. 26, 28, 33, 8, 41, 24, 13, 22, 29. There's too much low there for me to... He scored 8 in 80 minutes against the Eels back in round 16. No.
I will just say this as well. Obviously, Kohler is going to get an opportunity at fullback this week. Mate, there's been a lot of talk about the Wallabies keen on Kohler. He obviously came through rugby union. I know he re-signed. He re-signed until from the end of the 2024 season. So he re-signed a 3-year deal, but... Geez, if he can really blow it away over the next few weeks and show what he can do at fullback, I reckon the Wallabies would have a serious look at him.
Talking. Jeez, I hope not. Let's hope he has.
I think he'd do really well over there, but hopefully he stays.
20. What was the year that Saab scored? Was it 2020 that he scored 1,000 tries?
Wasn't it 2021? What wasn't it when we were playing touch footy?
2021. Yeah, I just thought he scored more. I must be thinking try assists. So he scored like 24 tries in 23 games.
He also passed back into Turbo for about 80 tries that season.
I thought for some reason he had more, but he had 23 in 24 games, but like Garrick had 21 and Turbo had 25 in 15. I'd say that year that Saab scored a bunch of tries with a bunch of assists, what do you reckon he averaged?
62.
47.
Well, the king. Yeah. That's why he's the pot of pods. Isn't it going to be wild? We're going to be like sitting here in 10 years' time doing this show still, I assume, and we're still going to talk about that 2021 season for Turbo, and every time we talk about it, it's still going to knock us for 6. But there's not going to be a year where you say he scored 25 tries in 15 games and I don't sit there and go, holy Jesus, how did that possibly happen? Wild.
It's freakish.
Okay. Now, this is a good conversation. Now, Suoli, I had a look at his numbers last night. He has been doing very, very well the last few weeks. If you traded him in a few weeks ago, credit to you, he has done very well. And I sort of need to make a move this week with my CTWs and with a fullback. Suoli, I had a look at him. Look at the last 3 weeks, 84, 75, 108. Now, he plays the West Tigers this week, which is a very appealing matchup. Then he plays the South Sydney Rabbitohs, who are going like a busted. Also an appealing matchup. There are a few factors that worry us with Suoli, though, aren't there, Timmy? There is obviously one, he's goal kicked the last few weeks with Sam Walker back in the side. We don't know if he's going to goal kick or not. We'll have to wait and see. And the other factor, I might throw to you, it's our favourite talking point, isn't it?
Old glue hands Manu at fullback. You won't touch the ball.
Do you remember when we were sitting there watching Roosters v Penrith on the live stream with Tom and Eddie? And I think they both took Suoli to score. And the first thing we said in the opening minute was, it's stupid to take anyone on the right side of the field because Manu will not pass the ball over there. And they laughed at us. And then about 30 minutes in, Tom looks at me and goes, I can't unsee it. I just can't unsee it. You've ruined him for me. It was shattered.
Yeah, that was fantastic. And, mate, it's just going to be worse at fullback. His only hope is that, like, I just cannot picture Joey Manu sweeping out the back and tipping on him to score a try. No. He'll dummy go himself and beat 6 on his way to doing it, but he won't tip it on. His hope is that Sammy Walker's back, who loves that Harbour Bridge pass to the winger. So with that Tigers defence, if they tie in a bit, he might get a couple off Sammy's cutout ball. But for that reason, and another one you mentioned pre-show, and just with Sammy Walker probably goal kicking, he may not, but I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Mate, I think it's really funny. This time last year, actually, a year ago and a week ago, we were sitting here at this show and everyone was talking about buying Suaalii because they took on the West Tigers that week and they were going to smash them, which they did. And I very, very confidently said, don't go near him. Manu will not pass him the football. Yeah. He scored 36 that week. Yeah, and Manu did not pass him the ball. And Sam Walker goal kicked. Remember, I captained Sam Walker that week, and he ended up getting about 70 solely off goal kicks.
Yeah.
Didn't have any try assists or anything. So I think history is going to repeat itself there. I would not be going. I honestly opened my computer yesterday going, I am going to trade Suaalii in unless something really jumps out at me. And about 6 things jumped out of the screen and belted me. Yeah. Can't do it.
Yeah.
I think if you've collected Suaalii the last few weeks, I think you've gained a huge advantage from it. But I would not be bringing him in now.
And you'd be happy to own this week. But you wouldn't go anyway.
You wouldn't trade him in. No way. Okay, Jay Saunders, 16, is a really interesting one. Timmy, any chance of getting Guru to play BBL SuperCoach this year? Now, obviously, the SuperCoach playbook offers obviously fantastic analysis of NRL SuperCoach, but BBL, mate, best in the business as well.
Yeah, mate, exact same stuff for the BBL. We'll be going into our 4th year of BBL SuperCoach and really ramping things up quite a bit this season. We'll do a bit more. We obviously expanded into video content with the NRL podcast this season, and we'll be looking to do similar with the BBL and get some reels happening, a bit of video out there, and really just try to blow things out of the water. Same, for anyone who's not familiar with it, same thing. We've got past champions on board this year. Get this. There is a back-to-back BBL SuperCoach champion.
Wow.
He's won it the last 2 years. He also was in an IPL, Indian Premier League competition with only about 1,000 odd people, I think, mid-year, and he won that as well.
Wow.
So
he must be like the me of BBL.
Oh, please. Anyway, we've got Andrew on board the SC Playbook team this season, which is so exciting. So we've got a few past champions now. The Spires on deck. Maxi Bryden, who does a bit with the NRL as well. It's all the same content in the BBL. And we actually, the back end of last BBL season, just to make it a bit easier for people, we detached the BBL and the NRL social handles. So jump on, and we're sort of building that one back up as well. So jump on SC Playbook BBL, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Follow that bad boy. We'll be back into that content not long after footy season finishes.
Yeah, fantastic. As far as I go, mate, I'll tell you what. If the NRL obviously announced the other day that we're going to have a Four Nations tournament, that'll probably, if there was any chance of me doing BBL, that'll probably cost it.
Four Nations to be done before BBL starts.
Running out of excuses.
I'll give you one reason that I know you'll do it. If you happen to do it and somehow knock me off, again, listen to my podcast and taking my advice and beating me, it'd be like your crowning moment. And if you don't, you'd be like, I don't really like cricket that much, so of course.
Yeah, it's a win-win for me. I will say this though, mate. I think that with most rugby league content creators, that December, January is sort of our time off. That could be anything season, baby. Yeah. That's Harold Matts. That's SG Ball. I'm going to be out in the trenches, mate. This is my low period right now. Yeah. I've got the feet up at the moment.
Finals, yes, please.
I'm waiting for Harold Matts and SG to kick off. I'll be there. So, I don't know. The idea of beating Tim at his own thing, even though I've done it 2 years in a row, is very, very appealing. Maybe I will do it.
Do it.
Maybe I should.
40th last year in BBL, the Stallions.
I think I might have to make friends with Andrew first and have a red hot cracking. Just out of interest, what state is Andrew from? I'm seeing New South Welshman.
He's Victorian.
It's disappointing.
Very disappointing.
incredibly disappointing.
Yes.
Don't even know what to say to that.
Could be worse. Could be a Queenslander.
Oh, yeah, it could have been worse. 100% would have been more fun, though.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Sit v start. Yeah, I don't know. What do you...
I'm sitting Brendan P. Cura.
Yeah, I am sitting no one because I don't have a choice. And if you do have a choice, surely it can't be a hard one. Surely P. Cura. I don't even know who else you would have in your side that you wouldn't be playing this week.
There's a handful out there. I know the Spies got 20. Brett last night had...
He's got 20 players.
Yeah. Just dodged a couple. Brett last night on the podcast was pretty well placed as well. Just, again, dodged a couple and wasn't overly invested in bunnies because he potted them a while ago and didn't overgo it. So Brett's well placed. There's a few out there, but you know what? I've got 18 this week, so I don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, surely of those 20 or whatever, surely some of them must be your Sonny Lukes, your Ben Murdoch-Masillas of the world.
There's a lot. I don't know.
Yeah. Surely there is a clear 17 that you play. If you can't work that out, send us a message. But look at their average. Pick them. Yeah. We've already done captains, mate. Are we done and dusted?
I think we are, mate.
Yeah. Best of luck to you this week, mate. It's tough watching a mate go through a time like this, where it's all just sort of falling in on top of you and it just feels like you're in quicksand and there's nothing you can do, and the quicksand is incredibly handsome and very talented at SuperCoach. It's
Jeez, it's going to be
tough,
sweet when I jump you on the buzzer in the 2023 season and take that lead and go into the top 1% at the same time. I will say it was a crushing blow, not only going behind you, but the top 1% chase. I was very confident of making up some ground the next 2 weeks, but last week was the one I needed to pull one out. No, I didn't. So I think there will be no white flag waved until the final who to goes in round 27, but a lot of work to do.
Yeah, well, I think top 1% we said was 1,600. I'm at 3,900 at the moment. So
sniff.
I think I'll tell you what, those extra Teddy points would have come in handy. Fuck me.
Oh, yeah.
That would have come in handy. So handy. I'll tell you what is interesting. This week, if you captain Manu, that's essentially what separated us last year. Me captaining Manu in that game where he went nuts playing fullback against a bang average team. So
wouldn't that be just harmonious?
Could be the difference this week. Maybe I'll captain Manu. I don't know.
You will. We know you will.
Maybe I will. We'll see how we go. Hopefully Cleary can dominate. We don't have to talk about it. SC Playbook last night, what'd you cover?
Mate, jump on.
Outside of Reece Walsh's goal-kicking career?
One of my favourites. Brett Patworth on, had a great yarn to him. Latrell Mitchell and James Tedesco replacing basically. A lot of questions asked about fullback, so we deep dived into the best options there. Also got all Brett's opinions on the captaincy, the best way to go this week. Really interesting mind and really good SuperCoach mind, Brett. So, yeah.
What's he thinking, captain-wise?
Who was he leaning towards? So long ago, I don't even remember.
Good. Nicely done. Leave your sporting movies in the comments, guys. Let us know which is your favourite, what we've slept on. I'm sure there's going to be a stack that I'm going to read and go, yeah.
Moneyball's good one.
Moneyball, good God.
Great film.
Yeah, that Moneyball's if there's nothing on the TV Sunday afternoon, I need to fill in time.
Put it on.
And then Beck will sit down and watch the entire thing. It's a cracker Moneyball. Unreal. All right, that'll do us. We're going. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.